Yo, yo, yo. Free cookies. Happy Halloween, everyone. Best time of the year. Certainly is. Where do we get these free cookies you speak of? Oh, pre-cookies. Oh, no, free ones. What's up, everyone? How are you doing? Can you hear me out there in La La Land? How's your October going so far? It's going good. I feel like fall kind of hit out of nowhere. It is abruptly and suddenly spooky season out of nowhere. But in a hard way, in a very Chili's baby back ribs kind of way. If you can see this chat, then say hello there. Hello there, Gamer Boy Psalm. Gamer Boy Psalm. Balsamic vinegar. How am I doing? What's up, Ronnie? Good to see ya. Check 1, 2, 3. Check, check. Griller toe. What are you talking about? Yeah, fall hit. It's kind of like how it's been. I noticed, like, we'll kind of have like this kind of weather now, where it's a little bit dreary, pretty chilly, not terribly cold. You'll get cold nights transitioning. But it's going to be like this until like, I don't even know, January. It might be even rainy and 50 in like December. And then January 1st hits and then it's just like winter hardcore out of nowhere for fucking 5 months. I drove a tank in the general's rank when Blizzwreck rag in the body stank. Shouldn't Halloween stories be closer to the end of the month? Nope. Because we gotta get everyone in the mood and you gotta strike the iron when the poop is hot. The old saying. Any thoughts on the war? Well, where the fuck was Mossad during all of that? That's my thought. How the fuck did their intelligence agency that's like on par or as good as the CIA not know that that attack was gonna happen? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? David De La Rosa Jr., welcome back for almost 2 years, says Joel. You rock, Joel. Best 23 months ever, thank you. Exactly. It really has been a long ass time. David, thank you so much. Don't say a don't say a bad word. Your little sister is on here. Okay. She'll tattletale. She better not. She better not. Oh, I'm gonna tattletale on her. I know what she did last summer. I know where the bodies are hidden. I'm surprised you're live at this time. Usually been starting earlier. Yeah, I was hanging out with my friend and his family. They wanted to watch, he invited me over to watch Karate Kid. I had not watched that movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie, actually. And we watched it, and it was just, it's a good movie, but it was just like so silly, you know? It was like a drunk dude who knows karate taught a kid how to do karate via teaching him how to paint and wax and sand and do basic chores for like 8 weeks. And somehow in those 8 weeks, he was able to use those chores to become, like, win a karate tournament. It was just really funny. Claire Connolly, welcome back for 14 months. Says, ignore me more, booger. Ignore you? What are you talking about? I don't ignore. There's just a lot of... It's like trying to respond to every schizophrenic voice in my head. I just can't keep up. But thank you for 14 months. Shout out to Adela M, please. Shout out, Adela. I'm getting a whooping if you do say a bad word. Your dad's just sitting there with a belt. If this streamer says a single thing, that's my excuse to open fire on that behind boy. Just randomly asked one of my best friends if he watched Let's Read, and he said, yep, and we said no more about it. That's really funny. Actually, you're like, yep, everyone does. Moving on. We don't talk about him. But the ending of Karate Kid is so fucking good. Like, it's almost like so ridiculous to just like roll into a tournament like that. No, oh my god. Dude, even more ridiculous, they use magic. They literally use magic at the end. So the one guy was the one, guy of, the leader of Cobra Kai's gym, was pissed. And he's like, basically encouraged him to take out the dude's knee so that he can't continue to fight. And he's like, oh, I'll get disqualified. And he's like, do it. I'm evil. I'm evil, and there's no explanation as to like why I'm evil, or I don't have any other form of personality other than just evil. And you understand that I'm evil. It's the 1980s. We don't have enough character development thought process to figure that out. Yet somehow our movies are still better than movies made in 2023. Anyways, he breaks his knee, right? Breaks his kneecaps inward. And then Mr. Miyagi, he's like, Mr. Miyagi, don't you have like, can't you just do that thing that like, magically fixes my leg? And he's like, you don't need to do that. He's like, I really, really think it'd be cool if the movie ended on a happy note and you did magic on my leg. And so Mr. Miyagi, sweep the leg. Mr. Miyagi literally did magic. He like slapped his hands together, rubbed them together, right? And nothing happened. No, it actually, a lot of things happened. Fucking, apparently all you have to do is just create heat on your hands and it completely repairs ACL tears. David De La Rosa Jr. with the, did I say it for the 2? Thank you so much. Wexon Wexoff. Miles Mick K. Thank you for the 5, and thank you for your first ever super chat. Right on, man. Thank you, my friend. It is a seesaw hammer, Jackie Chan. Yeah, Miyagi happy ending massage on the knee. That's all it took. We didn't get to see it actually happen on camera, so we have no clue what the fuck happened. You came up with a great name for a kitty cat, Mr. Miyagi. Oh, Miyagi. That would be good. Next person to ask us what to name their cat on stream. That is it. What's up, Heather? How you doing? But yeah, we got some Halloween stories here tonight. We'll kick off in a tad. Doom, 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 doom. The one thing I will say about the war stuff, though, that makes me a little bit nervous is that we got, was it Hezbollah? Is it Hezbollah? Oh god, if I get it wrong, that sounds stupid, but hey, I don't know shit about shit. I'm just talking on my ass. But they're backed by Iran, right? And then we already have the war in Ukraine going on, which is kind of like everyone's on board with, Russia bad, et cetera, et cetera. And then of course you have COVID, I don't know, the blimp situation, like the spy balloon, and then the harvesting of data and things of that nature. And I feel like all you really need right now is China to invade Taiwan. And then you just, I don't know, you just have a very like clear, because they're all like allies with each other, right? China, Iran, Russia, Brazil. I don't even know if Brazil is really that involved, but I guess you got the BRICS situation. But to me, it just seems as if though it's like all the pieces are being kicked into motion for like some sort of larger conflict. And maybe I'm full of shit, but we are going into I don't know. People always say end times in that world, and I'm sure they said end times during World War II. I'm sure they said end times during World War I. I'm sure they said end times in fucking Vietnam. Everything's the end times whenever you're the one dying. But I don't know. It all just feels as if though the puzzle pieces are being placed into their positions. But I'm not sitting here trying to get everybody worked up, but it's just odd to observe. Yeah, World War 2.5. I guess the Cold War never really ended, right? Just varying stages. Hey, see you, James. Have a good night. Yesterday was your birthday? Well, happy late birthday, D-Lord. Good to see you. Your sister buys Eric's wine. Sweet berry wine. That's awesome. Shout out to Michael Jackson. A lot of cults that rely on end times. Good stuff. It is kind of strange. I don't know. Sometimes it's easier just to kind of grasp onto those types of realities. And maybe they're right too. That's the thing, is you never really know until after the fact, I guess. Like the people that go through like, the New Testament, Jesus Christ kind of accounts. And then they will go back through the Old Testament and like show like, hey, here you go. This is why, the Old Testament proved that he was on his way at this time and that, and it's like, I don't know. How do people even piece all that shit together and know what is real or what is not? All right. Religion and politics. We hit it. We hit both of them in 15 seconds. We're good, baby. You had a dream I did a face reveal. Was I hot as fuck? Do I believe in God? I think so. I feel like I do so more out of like fear, just more out of like fear that like what else am I? It's the only thing that's like really gives me hope, I guess, in like a long-term sort of sense, or like a foundational sort of faith sense. You know what I mean? Like sure, you can have faith in yourself and faith in the people around you, which is a cool thing to do, but I feel like whenever I try that and that alone, it sort of just makes me feel, sort of look inward and realize the fallibility of like humanity and kind of think like, shit, if I only had faith in me and those around me. It's like, it's Jover, dude. It's fucking Jover. You're officially 21, you feel old. Jeez. Hey, you are old. 21, you might as well be Deady 1. Graveyard 1. Just kidding. No, you're young. But I think 21 is also a good time to start thinking about the future so that you have a better life later on as well. You don't want to squander your youth. I remember being a teenager yesterday. I mean, yeah, you technically were. It's just a number, really. I think there's something greater out there, but hard to subscribe to a religion. No, I feel you. Yeah, it's to subscribe to a religion. I mean, it requires like almost everything from you. You know, it requires your time, your thoughts, your energy, your life, and like, you know, I don't really know why people jump on board with it so much unless they've seen something like super crazy. But, you know, it also creates like a certain sense of structure for folks who need it, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as they're not like hoarding anybody. Oh shit, I dropped my fucking mouse. It was, for some reason, it was very slick. It was a greased up mouse. Jesus. Susie Dunn, welcome back for 11 months. Says, thanks for the gift sub. Hey everyone, hello. Somebody gifted ya. We got quite a few in the past couple streams. 21 was your prime. Hell yeah, dude. Right now's your prime. The prime time. Kick butt and grind. I fall asleep in my stories post every night. Well, thank you, Dante. Glad you can be here. I think we want to worship something. Yeah, I mean, it's... What else do we have, you know? I mean, obviously you can... I think the one thing that I've like come to find... I find myself most... like where I feel gooderist when I'm working. Like when I'm working with my hands, or I'm like working out, or I'm working on something that like gives me a deep sense of satisfaction, or I'm working on a project with people, because I just find that like I just feel like humans are just destined to work, you know? And when we're not working, I think the sense of morality starts to like kick in. We're like, oh fuck, I might die soon. And so I feel like in that situation, it's, you know, you can turn to religion or spirituality and kind of find peace that way, which I think is good. But sometimes I'm almost like, I wonder if it's better like psychologically for us to just like throw ourselves fully into like something that requires us to work, you know, to work more on it. Just almost like a dog, like we're dogs. You know how like dogs are just like imagine you're like a sheepdog who like shepherds sheep, and you get that command to go like round up all the sheep and shit, and like that dog is fucking stoked. It's like fucking super excited to go do that. And I don't know, maybe that's what you need to do in life, is just go figure out what endeavor can you get involved in that's going to make you feel like a sheepdog. I've been off work for a year and it's nice. I think I'm lazy. Nah, I mean, we're all pretty lazy. But I mean, I guess sometimes the definition of work is different. Maybe like work for yourself. Or just something that brings you like a sense of creative satisfaction. Maybe that's what I consider work. Maybe whittling wood. What's my passion? I don't really know. I really have a strong passion for like comedic ideas and just like riffing funny ideas and like coming up with funny concept skits and stuff. But I mean, really any sort of like creative outlet that I get involved in, I find a certain sense of satisfaction with it, whether it's just making a little melody of music or making a drawing of sorts. I mean, and even more satisfying, we can bring all the different elements together into one. Writing, you know, visual arts, musical arts. We need to get the smell arts involved. We need to get smell-o-vision going, dude. Can you imagine how much cool stinky shit people can make with smell-o-vision? All right, 30 seconds, friends. We'll kick these stories off. You smoke some weed, helps your chronic pain and anxiety. Well, there you go. Are there any mods in here? I don't think so. I haven't seen a single mod come in, which is a little bit odd. Art and other creative outlets where I love for real. Yeah, for sure. Joel, let's make a game. Let's make a shmame. Let's make a meme instead. I was thinking of a new Overwatch character. I was thinking of a meme where it's like, it's the year 2030, and the 50th Overwatch character has just released. And I don't know, they've reworked McCree. And instead of throwing like a sticky bomb that ruins your time, he throws a jar of piss. And he just throws a jar of piss that covers your screen in piss. But the piss has like some sort of weird STD in it or something. Like AIDS or something. And it just, your screen gets covered, sort of like a dripping yellow piss is dripping down your screen. It just says AIDS piss across the screen. And, basically you're poisoned for a little while. Tom K with the 2 says Joel should take up creative dancing. I do creatively dance from time to time. I do a bit of a twirl and a swirl. Alright, baby. It's read time. Do I go to church? I used to go to church a lot. And then I don't really like it anymore. I like the people, but it's just like the process of going is such a pain in the wiener, And then the fact that I was kind of having like a crisis of faith, basically just not really sure what the fuck's going on. You just kind of like that mixed with like, what am I even doing here sort of feeling. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I might be more inclined to go back to church if I ever have kids. Because then it will just like give them something to do on a fucking Sunday instead of, jorking off to fucking Fortnite shit. I'm describing Jarate. Who's Jarate? Is that a hero in something? On your way back from the gym, I have tomorrow off of work. Nice, perfect timing. David, thank you for the $100 for 3 bags of groceries and a 12-pack of beer. Shake my damn head. Yeah, it's getting expensive out there. Pray for your brother. He had autism. So he beat it? He beat autism? He beat the autism allegations? Alright, let's start. Where are we? So we got 6 stories here about Halloweener. It's the spooky season, baby. You believe the creator's not what they preach in church mostly. Yeah, I mean, you feel something inside yourself, And sometimes I kind of wonder, like, if the things that we feel inside ourselves towards what the creator is just sort of a subjective manifestation of, like, our younger selves' perspectives towards that narrative, but also, like, our adolescent or older selves' non-adherence to the social structures of church. And therefore that manifests into what we might call the creator, in our psychology. But then I'm also like, maybe there's just something deep within all of us that sort of has an innate connection with something beyond. Who knows? Oh. Okay. Pradeep just fucking threw up. Thank God I had my sweatshirt on the fucking area. He literally just goes and threw up on my sweatshirt. Thanks, bro. Looks like he's got more to come, too. Poor guy. Hold on a second. It's fucking cat food. I don't get it. Why the hell? Oh my god. Alright. Well, that kind of ruined the mood. But anyways. Oh, wait. That's a true crime story. Well, we got some true crime stories tonight. That's good to know. But I don't really want to go start with those right out the gate. Poor Deep. toddlers talking about past lives, like things they have no way of knowing about, like being on the Titanic. You know, I've heard of it. Yeah, it's hard to say the extent of validity in those, whether they were coached or not, but, you know, I'm also not trying to knock anybody's shit as well. I'm not trying to knock their shit. That's the most articulate thing I've ever said. Imagine Jordan Peterson saying, I'm not trying to knock their shit. No, hey, brother, listen here, bucko, I'm not trying to knock their shit. But I'm not sure if I believe that you were on the Titanic in a previous life. How do I pick my stories? Yeah, we got subreddit, we got email. Do I drink whiskey? Nah, whiskey will give you throat cancer. But I'll have it from time to time on special occasions. The last time I ever went trick-or-treating was when I was 13 years old. Me and my friends from middle school kind of knew it was the final time, as we talked about not being able to go out once we... God, that sounded so slow. Oh, is Hawk here? We got Hawk. Hawk's the only mod, I think. Morty. Give your sister Jessica a shout out. Shout out, Jessica. Jessica. Jessica Riku. Whiskey will give you throat cancer. Yeah, whiskey. People always like drink whiskey and they smoke cigars. I feel like they're just like begging for fucking some sort of like to visit an ENT doctor just to find out that they've got lesions in there or some really bad form of acid reflux. Me and my friends from middle school kind of knew it was the final time, as we talked about not being able to go once we got into high school. We didn't want to do anything that might get the crap bullied out of us, so we figured that we better make the most of what was probably our last hurrah. And that's how we came up with what I believed was a galaxy brain plan to get sacks full of leftover candy from all the houses in our neighborhood. All the smarter kids used to go out before dark and would be off the streets by 5:30 at the latest. Then came the kids around our... Wait, smaller kids. I said smarter. All the smaller kids used to go out before dark and would be off the streets by 5:30 at the latest. And then the kids around our age who were old enough to walk around under Alright, hold on a second. Let me just fucking... I can't fucking keep up right now. I'm gonna just copy and paste the text to something I can read. I don't know why the fuck I just can't see it. I can see it, but it just like doesn't... It's like too much in my fucking face at one time. Sorry. All the smaller kids used to go out before dark and would be off the streets by 5:30 at the latest. Then came the kids around our age who were old enough to walk around unsupervised. They'd make their rounds, grab a few handfuls here and there, then they'd generally be off the streets by like 8 to 8:30 p.m. And that's when we'd strike. In that sweet, sweet window between 8:30 and 9, we could scoop in and hover up as... In that sweet, sweet window between 8:30 and 9, we could swoop in and scoop up as much leftover candy as possible. We totally convinced ourselves that since it was approaching the end of acceptable I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why the fuck I just can't find a rhythm with this one. We totally convinced ourselves that since it was approaching the end of acceptable trick-or-treating hours, Folks would just toss us whatever they had left over instead of trying to find space in their kitchen for 50 plus minibars. This wasn't the case at all, and if anything, we got less candy than the average trick-or-treater because we made homeowners get off of their butts again when they believed that they were all done for the night. We struck it lucky here and there, so we definitely walked away with a good haul at the end of the night, but then, the night didn't exactly end with us walking away. Oh my god, I should have did like a warm-up or something. I don't even know what the fuck. I just like can't comprehend it right now. Did you ever just like look at shit? Did you guys ever try to like read before? My brain is just not where it needs to be right now. Joel, it's the water, man. Everyone I know has been like having a reading issue, like focus goes in and out, or maybe just bad genetics doesn't make. You blame the government. That's all you can really do at the end of the day, just blame the government. Blame our great supreme leader, Kim Jong-Biden. He's so cute, though. We struck it lucky here and there, so we definitely walked away with a good haul at the end of the night. But then, the night didn't exactly end with us walking away. More like running away as fast as our legs could carry us. Because that Halloween night, on my very final trick-or-treat session before retirement, I had the single scariest event of my childhood happen to me. Like I said, we did okay in terms of candy haul, but on the way back home, we spotted one odd-standing house that we hadn't been to. I won't try to describe all the sort of geography of the neighborhood in detail, but the house was slightly out of the way from all the main residential streets, meaning that there was a chance that they hadn't had as many callers. One second, let me turn this fucking light off, dude. I think it's the light above my head, just fucking with, like, it just like, sucks my eyeballs. I think that was it. It's like you try to look at the screen, but there's a light above it, so it's like sucking your eyeballs elsewhere instead of like honing in like a fucking hawk on a little fish. The script reads me. My blood sugar is low. Not quite. I won't try to describe all the geography of the neighborhood in detail, but the house was slightly out of the way from the main residential streets, meaning that there was a chance that they hadn't had as many trick-or-treaters as the other houses, and therefore more leftover candy. We walked up the path, hoping someone was home, only to see that all the lights are on, and that the front porch is decorated much like all the other houses we'd stopped at. But unlike all the others, the decorations here were on another level. We'd already seen one place that had this super realistic grave right there on the lawn. Whoever owned the home had cut up a section of the lawn, roughed up the soil a little, then put down a fake headstone before mocking up a skeleton crawling out of the dirt. It was probably one of the coolest pieces of Halloween decorations I'd ever seen, but like I said, this next house upped the ante considerably. The whole front porch of the house was decked out in fake cobwebs. There was a fake police tape over the door. Man. You're out, Eugenia? How come? Who was the little kiddo at the end of my bit? That was my buddy's daughter. She's like my niece, pretty much. Even, we're not related, but we've all pretty much raised her in different manifestations, but she wanted to be in a YouTube video. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Also, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if I ever miss your guys' chat or something, like, I know that there's a lot of regulars here, but if I ever miss your chat, like, don't think that I'm, like, ignoring you. I feel like some people can feel like that I'm ignoring them, but I'm serious. Like, it's just fucking hard to see everyone. I'm not, because I can't, like, just scan down every piece of text on the screen, you know? Do any of your friends listen to your lives? Yeah, once in a while they'll take a listen. It was so funny because I showed her the video and she was like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "I sound so awkward." Like, she's already, going through like the sort of, preteen prima donna type sort of the embarrassment that you have whenever you're. But I just blame that on too much fucking TikTok. Feel free to ignore you. Ignore you on the regular. Nah, dude. I don't know. It's just weird. I've had people like message me like separately and be like really fucking like angry about thinking that I like was negative to them or ignore. I don't know, dude. It's honestly sometimes really weird being like semi responsible for like the feelings of just random people online, you know? And I guess technically I'm not responsible for their feelings because it's them who are responsible for them. But it is just a bit of an odd concept. Yeah, no, I don't know. I could just tell that like a lot of her like sort of like things that she says and mannerisms and things like she's starting to like pick up from like school or like watching so much like shit on YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you should not be saying half that shit at like 7 years old. But I guess at the same time, it's whatever. I was the same way. The whole front porch of the house was decked out in fake cobwebs. There was fake police tape over the door, and there must have been 4 or 5 different pumpkins dotted around the place. From one spot on the porch, there was a fake skeleton hanging from a rope, and then there was also this mannequin-looking thing that had been propped up against the low wall near where the stairs to the front porch were. It was impressive, but not nearly as impressive as the 2 big bowls of candy that were sort of sandwiched on the front door like... Jesus Christ. It was impressive, but not nearly as impressive as the 2 big bowls of candy that sandwiched the front door. Each had a sign taped above it that said, "Help yourselves," and even from halfway up the driveway we could see that they still had a ton of candy in them. I guess that makes it sound like we had sort of eagle eyes or something, but they were in colored semi-clear plastic, and since the porch was all lit up, we could all see that they still had stuff in them. As you can imagine, we just about hit the roof. It was exactly the kind of thing that we were hoping for when we came up with our big galaxy brain plan to nab all the leftover candy. So we then walked up the rest of the driveway, rubbing our greasy little palms like rats who got the cheese. But then the closer we got to the porch, the more clearly we were able to see the mannequin-looking thing, and the more able we were to see that... What? And the more able to see it we were... What is this, fucking Goldilocks? But then the closer we got to the porch, the more clearly we were able to see the mannequin-looking thing, and the more able to see it we were, the more realistic it looked. The one thing that kept me personally from thinking it was real was the amount of fake blood on the ground next to it. There was no way anyone could have bled that much and still be alive. We all kind of slowed down as we got close to it, and I remember staring as I got closer and closer to the stairs and to it. As I got right up to them... Wait, what was that? Was that English? We all kind of slowed down as we got close to it, and I remember staring as I got closer and closer to the stairs and to it. Oh, I see. Joe the Goat. We all kind of slowed down as we got close to it, and I remember staring as I got closer and closer to the stairs and to it. As I got right up to them, I heard my two friends saying, "Nah, that's not real. I can tell. It's like movie magic or something." And being the total fool that I am, that lulled me into a false sense of comfort. Because as soon as my foot hit the porch steps, the mannequin raised its head, reached an arm out towards me, and then sort of rasped this ghostly voice. "Please, help me." We just ran, as far and fast as we could, but when we stopped, there was actually a moment of disagreement before we worked out what to do next. I remember being convinced that it was real. I'd seen the guy's face, looked into his eyes, and something just screamed authenticity to me. Either this guy was some expert horror movie extra who decided to play an exceptionally cruel Halloween prank, maybe even for the benefit of some hidden camera, or it was real, and someone desperately needed our help. My buddy, who thought it was fake, kept on saying how it was just some dumb prank that we'd fallen for, whereas I kept saying that we needed to call 911. This was back before every kid had a cell phone with them at all times, so it wasn't like I could just override my buddy and call the cops right there. Instead, I had to override him and run to the nearest house to hammer on the door until someone appeared. I was actually kind of worried that they'd think that it was a prank, but I guess I got across the seriousness of the situation because they went and called the fire department right away. The lady who called then asked us to take to where... Why would they call the fire department? What the fuck was that? Why? Love when I do the different voices, thanks. I do be trying to do a little dialogue here and there. The lady who called then asked us to take her to where we'd seen the injured guy, and she'd followed us with a bunch of kitchen towels. The lady who called then asked us to take her... Damn it, man. I'm already fucking like just pooped and scooped. Wearing the G-Shock tonight. You got a cool watch on? What time is it? What time is it on that cool watch? The lady who called then asked us to take her to where we'd seen the injured guy, and she'd followed us with a bunch of kitchen towels. As soon as we got there, and the lady saw that the guy still popped up near the stairs, she yelled at us to run home to our parents right away. She yelled like we were in trouble, but looking back on it, I guess she was just scared and didn't want kids around to see a guy potentially die. We ended up being declared heroes for saving this guy's life. He was all alone at home when he slipped and fell in the kitchen while holding a knife, and the poor guy ended up sort of skewering himself in the process, I guess. I don't know if he just couldn't get to the phone, but he ended up trying to walk out into the street for help, thinking that he could get some trick-or-treaters to call 911, but he couldn't, and he collapsed, and then a few minutes later, we find him. It was a complete accident, but I guess any excuse to celebrate is a good one. Good one. It was a complete accident, but I guess any excuse to celebrate is a good one, and we ended up receiving little hero medals at the Thanksgiving fair that year. Kind of a wholesome end to what should be a scary story, I know, but I kind of like that the scariest thing to happen to me as a kid also happens to have a happy ending, and not one that haunted me or even traumatized me for years afterwards. Krusty the Clown. Hey, kids! Help me. Turned into a Murloc. What am I gonna be for Halloween? I don't know, what should I be? Yeah, at least it wasn't a Karen story, that's true. Sometimes those are scarier than anything I've ever heard. Have you ever had a memory from your childhood that you just couldn't place? By that I mean a memory from your childhood that feels more like a dream or something you saw on TV. The kind of work that's... Come on, dude. By that I mean a memory from your childhood that feels more like a dream or something you saw on TV. The kind that worked its way into your memory banks until it's thought, what the fuck is this? That kind of worked its way into your memory banks until you thought it happened for real. Oh, that kind? Oh, I don't know what the fuck. By that I mean a memory from your childhood. I just feel like brain dead, dude. I mean, a memory from your childhood that feels more like a dream or something you saw on TV, that kind of worked its way into your memory banks until you thought it happened for real. I know that might sound confusing, so here's a better example. One of my friends used to swear that one time, when they were a kid, they quite literally flew up the stairs. Me and a mutual just about died laughing when she told us, and we poked and prodded the story until we figured out a much more believable version of the truth. She didn't fly up the stairs. She was just super tired one night, and her mom or dad carried her to bed. But because she was half asleep, it felt like she just floated up the stairs. Maybe being carried while unconscious somehow worked its way into an actual dream that she was having. My point is, it was like a false memory. A better example might be my cousin, who swore her mom's hair salon used to be in a different spot, but it just felt that way because her perception of the world around her changed as she got older. Hopefully I just didn't spend the past while sounding like a crazy person, and that you or your people here might have their own examples of these sort of false or glitchy memories. That way, I won't sound like I'm fresh out of the psych ward when I tell my own false memory story, or at least the story of what I thought was a false memory. Okay, so for the longest time, I had this weird obscure memory tucked away that I was pretty sure was just a dream or nightmare that I had when I was a kid. I went to a birthday party, and at the birthday party, there was a cow taking a nap in the kids' front lawn. This cow wasn't just any old cow either. It was so stinky that it made me cry and I had to go home. My mom was mad that our neighbors had been keeping a stinky cow, and I was so upset that I missed the party that I cried myself to sleep. I'd like to think that people can understand why I figured none of that had actually happened, but if you can't, let's just say that it seemed way too ridiculous a memory to be real, and that, although I turned out to be wrong to have assumed so, I thought it was something I dreamed or imagined or whatever. But then as the years went by, and my teens turned to my mid-20s, and then to my early 30s, it was this bizarrely prevalent memory that never seemed to feel any less vivid. So one day, on a total whim, I asked my mom if she remembered taking me to a party where the family kept a cow. I expected her to just give me this look as if to say, "Are you crazy?" But instead, she gave me another one. This kind of look someone gives you when you stir up a memory that hasn't been thought about in years. Mom didn't laugh though. She didn't even smile when she recalled it. She just shook her head, sighed, and made some comment about how awful the whole affair was. Stinky cow stories. Is this related to Halloween at all? Let me see. Ah, yes, it was. Okay. She just shook her head, sighed, and made some comment about how awful. She just shook her head, sighed, and made some comment about how awful the whole thing was. As you can probably guess, my mind was completely blank. As you can probably guess, my mind was completely blown by the news that this weird, fake, but not fake memory had been real the entire time. As you can probably also guess, I hounded her to tell me exactly what had happened from start to finish. So first things first, it wasn't a birthday party. It was a Halloween party. But according to my mom, there really hadn't been a... Oh, God. So first things first, it wasn't a birthday party. It was a Halloween party. But according to my mom, there really had been a cow. I was like 6 years old at the time, so I was walking hand in hand with my mom up this long driveway which led to my friend's house. We live in the suburbs, so there were a lot of big houses like that, but the more we walked up the driveway, the more we started to smell this rotten stink from somewhere. Then, when the driveway finally curved round before opening up into the home's front yard, there it was. It was still daylight, and some kind of tarp or covering had sort of blown back, revealing the cow's back and top of its head. The way it was lying was kind of a mercy, I guess, because it stopped me from seeing all the damage that had been done. But my mom saw it right away. She saw all the marks of blood, all the flies that were crawling all over this big old dead cow that was just lying there on their front lawn. She takes me up and away pretty much the moment she saw it, so only I caught a glimpse of a super stinky cow, but apparently the smell was so bad, and I was so disappointed not being able to go to the party, that I sort of burst out into tears the moment she loaded me into the passenger seat of her car. It turns out that the birthday kid's parents had tried calling everyone to let them know that the party was canceled, but had apparently forgotten to let one set of parents know. For me personally, that was the last I heard of it. I don't remember it coming up at school or anything, and the party got rescheduled, so that made up for the disappointment. And I spent the rest of my life kind of half forgetting it all, but my mom remembered the weird aftermath of the whole thing. The family whose lawn the dead cow showed up on had no idea how it had gotten there, or at least they said they didn't know anything about it. They just woke up one day, and there it was, this big mutilated cow corpse on their front lawn. They said that it must have been dumped there overnight, and they are so freaked out that they called the cops. And the cops then told them the area was a potential crime scene, in which case the cow couldn't be moved, and the party would have to be canceled. But get this. The main reason why the cops treated it so seriously was that the cow obviously belonged to someone, and since they were expecting someone to make a criminal complaint, they started looking for evidence on who would do such a thing. From what my mom says, it was real fortunate that the cow was lying there the way it was, or I'd have seen almost all of its body had been ripped up. Mom said it was like someone had lowered it into a shredder or something and then pulled it back out before its whole body could be torn apart. There were some livestock farms about 10 to 15 miles away, so... Ugh. Oh my god, that's a long-ass story for a dead cow. I don't really like body horror shit, honestly. I just think they're just pointless. Like, I get it when you're younger, like seeing a butchered up cow is like, but I don't know, overall I just feel like it doesn't really contribute to anything. From what my mom says, it was real fortunate that the cow was lying there the way it was, or I'd have seen that almost all of its body had been ripped up. Mom said it was like someone had lowered it into a shredder or something and then pulled it back out before its whole body could be torn apart. There were some livestock farms about 10 to 15 miles away, so it wasn't out of question that a cow had escaped, wandered all the way towards Stapleton, and then gotten attacked by coyotes or something. But then the complaint came in. The farmer was out near Kimball, which was over 150 miles to the west. Cops confirmed when they matched up the serial numbers on the cow's tag, but how the hell did a cow make it 150 plus miles overnight? There were rumors that it was some sort of cattle beef, no pun intended, and NB... Oh, what the fuck? There were rumors that it was some sort of cattle beef, no pun intended, and by that I mean a disagreement between cattle barons that had escalated to... There were rumors that there was some sort of cattle beef, no pun intended, and by that I mean a disagreement between owners of cattle that had escalated to violence. And by then, the family whose lawn the cow had got dumped on had nothing to do with the livestock industry, and neither did they have any relatives in the industry either. To everyone's knowledge, no one in the neighborhood had any connection to the industry either, so people started to wonder if it was a case of mistaken address or something of that nature. Guy abducts a cow, hacks it up, and then dumps it on a lawn as a sort of warning. Only they got the wrong lawn, and it caused a truckload of confusion. I guess because it happened on Halloween, that led to a bunch of dumb rumors about it being some kind of supernatural occurrence. You can pretty much guess the kind of things people blamed it on. UFOs, Wendigos, skinwalkers, you name it. But everyone figured that there had to be a logical explanation to it, and that the truth was probably just as gruesome and frightening as any kind of ghost or goblin. No one figured out exactly what happened, I guess because they didn't need to. The farmer could make an insurance claim. The cops didn't have much to investigate everyone. Or a tornado. Yeah, maybe a tornado. It's kind of weird. No one figured out exactly what happened, I guess because they didn't need to. The farmer could just make an insurance claim, the cops didn't have much to investigate, and everyone just moved on after a while, I guess. Just kind of crazy that all that became to remote to me. What? Just kind of crazy that all that became so remote to me that I didn't... Oh, okay. Calnado, yeah. Just kind of crazy that all that became so remote to me that I didn't think it was actually real. Especially when it's something that many people would never, ever forget. Hey, Z-Bucko with the 5 says, hey Joe, I just got in this live, what did I miss? Just a story about a dead cow, and then Something about a dude finding a dead body while trick-or-treating, or like someone dying, I guess. Everybody's dead. I do gotta get some water though. I grabbed kombucha. I don't know why the fuck I thought that was gonna be the ticket. It was not. So I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, fuck, dude. What's up, Matthew? Alright, story 3 of 6. My name is Martin. I'm from over in the UK, and I finally decided to sit down and write up a story of mine that I originally meant to write last Halloween. I ended up procrastinating terribly and didn't get it started in time, but this year, I'm committed to getting this written up. I've been a fan for a while, and I always thought it'd be cool to contribute and hopefully hear my story read out, even if it is the story of such a terrible memory. I suppose it'll be a good thought exercise in a way, revisiting something from my childhood, and it's also given me a reason to reach out to some of my old friends to get their recollections of the event. So without any further blathering, this is the tale of my own personal Halloween horror. Back when me and my old secondary school era group of friends were still knocking around together, we decided to do something for Halloween. We were all 16 going on 17, still very naive, but with tons of misplaced confidence. There were tons of house parties or pub nights and things to go to, but for one reason or another, we couldn't get into any of them. Then as the afternoon bled into the early evening and the sun started to go down, it was looking more and more like if we wanted to have fun, we'd have to make our own. We managed to pool what little money we could get a hold of and then sent the oldest looking amongst us into an off license to get some booze. I didn't think it'd work. We tried roughly the same tactics before, and our oldest looking mate had been instantly ID'd. So when my old mate walked out of that off license with a full plastic bag in each hand, we celebrated like we'd just won the lottery. The only drawback was that our mate had come back with 3 bottles of Adversary Games with the 5 says, "Hey Joel, long time no see, hope you're doing." Yeah, same to you, my friend. How art thou? Thank you for the 5, good to see ya. Z Bucko with the 5 says, "Kombucha is the nectar of the gods." It really is. It's way better for you than soda, but I feel like it still kind of hits that like fizzy drink. You know, you get that fizzy drink vibe, if that's what you're looking for. The only drawback was that our mate had come back with 3 bottles of wine, not beer that we'd asked him to buy. He'd said he'd panicked at the last second and then asked for the red wine because he felt like it made him seem older. He'd managed to pick up a few packets of cigarettes too, so as much as the red wine wasn't exactly what we'd been hoping for, our night was basically secured. We could have easily blagged our way into the house party at this point too, as the booze gave us a massive leverage. No one wanted 4 or 5 lads turning up to a party empty-handed, but with wine in tow, and with the potential to get more, we'd easily secure an invite or 2. But then, as we walked and talked, discussing all of our potential options, we came to a sort of joint conclusion. All the parties that had dodged or danced around inviting us could just bugger off. We made all the markings. We had all the markings. We had all the makings of a good night, and it made no sense to spread the wine thin when we could just neck it all ourselves. So instead of chasing girls like we planned to, we grabbed a portable speaker and some firelighters and then headed for this old hangout that we knew of to get some privacy. So a few hours went by, we got our fire going, got the speaker working, and then took turns sort of glugging down the wine and trying not to puke. We have to remember, this is one of our first times drinking, so... or you have to remember. Z-Bucko with the 5 says, "What flavor was it?" It was... what was this? Oh, the Gingerade. It's from the Synergy kombucha bullshit. I get the Gingerade one because, like, I kind of like the Trinity one, but every time you open up the Trinity one, it just, like, fucking spills out with carbonation. And for some reason, the ginger one doesn't do that as much. And honestly, like, it's whatever. They all kind of taste sort of similar. Nicole Kitely, welcome back for 18 months, says, "Just what I need after a long, exhausting weekend of travel. A good high and some Joel time. Please pet the putty for me." I shall. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you for 18 months, a year and a half. That's crazy. Time do be flying. I did not make kombucha. I drank it, but I did not like it. Think it's sour. Yeah. Yeah, kombucha can be kind of sour, but if you get it right, it sometimes tastes kind of like the sour, you know what I mean? You have to remember, this was one of our first times drinking, and we were on the cheapest, nastiest red wine you can imagine, so needless to say, it was like getting drunk on vinegar. Anyway, picture the scene. We're all sat around the fire, and since our old hangout was in a tucked-away corner of quite a rough piece of parkland, there was no other lights except the fire and what little light was coming off of our janky early 2000s mobiles. One of us, a lad called Luke, somehow ended up trying to recreate moments from The Shining, beat for beat, and we're all laughing, trying to play Shelley Duvall's part to his Jack. Yeah. Try the elderberry one. Is your second favorite elderberry one? Is that from the Trinity people? The Shining. One of us, a lad called Luke, somehow ended up trying to recreate the moments from The Shining, beat for beat, and we're all just laughing, trying to play Shelley Duvall's part to his Jack Nicholson. We were being loud, and I remember that much, but we were being loud because we felt safe. The park was basically deserted after dark, and that's how it ended up being a chill spot for us, a place that we could get some privacy to do all the things our parents or neighbors wouldn't approve of us doing. No one had ever intruded on us before, not even a sniff, so we didn't expect a single soul other than us to be in the park that night. We had completely let our guard down, and we paid for it. I remember the scene like it was yesterday. Luke was still doing his Jack Torrance impression, standing a little back from the fire so that it was only partially lit by the flames' orange glow. All I saw was a shape moving up behind him, and after doing a sort of quick head count, I realized that it wasn't any of us playing some kind of prank. I looked back, and all I saw was a mask. Or at least the mask this complete stranger was wearing, and then he swung something to Luke's. Jesus. Red rum. Red rum. Nectar of the gods. All I saw was a shape moving up behind him, and after doing a sort of quick mental head count, I realized that it wasn't any of us playing some kind of prank. I looked back up, and all I saw was a mask, or at least the mask this complete stranger was wearing, and then he swung something at Luke's head. It all happened so fast that Luke was on the floor, and we were all still reacting to it. Then as the masked person with what appeared to be a big stick started smashing Luke with it when he was down on the ground, we all started to leap up in defense. It was just a gut reaction, really, purely because it looked like we had him outnumbered, but we didn't have him outnumbered, and we soon realized just how much trouble we were in. I just remember one of my mates backing off of the masked man. I just can't find a fucking long rhythm tonight. I just remember one of my mates backing off as the masked man swung for him with the stick, and then suddenly, there were loads of them, coming out of the darkness, throwing punches and kicks. Most had their faces covered, either with masks or with drawstrings of their hoods pulled tight. Each of us got a good kicking, both trying to fight back and in the process trying to get away. It was complete chaos for a while, just running and tripping and trying to get some distance between us. At one point, right when I saw my other mates running and decided it was best to join them, someone kicked my legs out from under me, and then I was just trying to get back up. They bashed my head into the dirt, either with a hand or stamping on the back of my head. If it had been concrete that they did it on, I think I'd have sustained a serious injury, but since it was just damp dirt and leaf litter, it didn't have much of an effect, and somehow I was able to keep running and get away. Now, Luke was okay. He did end up spending the night in the hospital, but was discharged late the next day with a nasty concussion and some bad bruising. Honestly, we were lucky that that's the worst it got. To this day, I have no idea why those lads attacked us or who they were. For all I know, they could have been people we went to school with, people in the neighborhood we actually knew. I know the world can be a cruel place, but that's the night that I learned just how cruel it could really be. Cruel. Did I say concrete? Or how did I say it? Pumpkin spice rum balls. That does sound pretty good. Oh, fuck. Pumpkin spice cum balls. How many did I read? 3, 4. Apologies in advance if I sound like an overprotective idiot here, but I took my kid trick-or-treating one time and then swore that she'd be under curfew every Halloween until... And then swore that she'd be back by curfew every Halloween until she turned 18 because there was no way in hell that I was going to let her go anywhere on that. Apologies in advance if I sound like an overprotective idiot here, but I took my kid trick-or-treating one time and then swore that she'd be back by curfew every Halloween until she turned 18 because there was no way in hell that I was letting her go anywhere out on that day of devilment. Now granted, things didn't turn out like that. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Granted, things didn't out like that. I calmed down enough to chill about Trigger. Oh yeah, Trey, I already did that outro like years and years ago, I think. Okay, what is this saying? I ended up Oh, wait, what? Oh, I clicked the fucking wrong. God damn it. Granted, things didn't go down like that, and I calmed down enough to be chill about trick-or-treating and later costume parties. I'm just curious to know if by the end of this, you think that that would be an overreaction, or if you'd be this same level of freaked out as I was. So I took my kid on one of those supervised trick-or-treating things when she was about 5. Her school organized it and asked for volunteers among parents, so I volunteered. I didn't volunteer because I was terrified to let my daughter out of my sight. I volunteered to be helpful. I always loved Halloween growing up, so I thought that it'd be awesome to relive some of that seasonal spirit with my daughter. I didn't even mind when her teacher told me that it was the interest of fair. What? I didn't even mind when her teacher told me that it was in the interest of fairness that I didn't Oh my god. I didn't even mind when her teacher told me that it was in the interest of fairness that I didn't oversee the group that included my daughter. They didn't want me to risk favoring my own kid and making sure that she got more candy than the other kids. Some might say that that's a little overzealous, but I understood where she was coming from, so I let my kid go off with some other mom, trusting her to mind my kid as carefully as I'd mind hers. 30 minutes couldn't have gone by before someone raised the alarm. A kid was missing. And from the description, I very quickly worked out that the missing kid was my own. I'm so dead inside. Just like fucking. Oh my god, bro. Oh, actually, I took off my shoes. Now I feel way better. Dude, fuck shoes. Why do we even have them? A kid was missing, and from the description I very quickly worked out that the missing kid was my own. I don't even think words can touch how terrifying a moment that was for me, so I'm not even going to try. I'll just tell you what I did instead. Fuck. Try Prozac, ew. No thanks, bro. I'll just tell you what I did instead, which was sprint around the neighborhood calling out for my little daughter and doing anything and everything I could not to strangle the mom who should have been watching my kid. In the end, I found her walking out of a front yard, acting all confused as if though she hadn't done anything wrong. I asked her what the hell she was thinking, but then hugged her and told her how scared I was. I was just a mess, and I felt even worse as my daughter started to cry. The whole thing put a massive damper on the trick-or-treating, as it obviously scared the crap out of all the kids seeing me running around and shouting. I felt bad for upsetting them all, but at the same time, if that dumb lady hadn't lost my kid, then none of it would have been a problem. I was still kind of mad at my daughter, so it was in full punishment until... So I was in what? I was still kind of mad at my daughter, so I was in full punishment until just before her bedtime, when we got to talk. Dexter Fletcher, thanks for the 2, my friend. What was it saying? I don't know. I was still kind of mad at my daughter, so I was in full punishment mode until just before her bedtime. When we got to talking about why she walked away from the group into a house that didn't have a what is this saying? Totes welcome? Or totes welcome? What was this? Toters welcome? I don't know what the fuck this is saying. Maybe totes welcome. I don't. What parent says fucking totes? I mean, I guess that's not abnormal. Oh my god. It looks like it's like, at first I was like, is this Spanish? Because it's like T-O, and then it's like no space, T-E-S, welcome sign. I don't know. I'm just going to say welcome sign. Oh, treaters welcome? Oh, trick-or-treaters. Yeah, that makes more sense. What the fuck? Who has ever put that into an acronym? That's a bunch of Halloween devilment right there. I was still kind of mad at my daughter, so I was in full punishment mode until just before her bedtime, when we got to talking about why she'd walked away from the group into a house that didn't have a trick-or-treaters welcome sign on it. We posted them outside. We posted them ourselves in the day. Oh, I see. Okay. Soccer moms in Minnesota. We posted them ourselves in the days prior to the event, asking families to display them in their windows or on their porches if they wanted to take part. The kids knew to look out for the houses with the signs because that meant candy, so when my daughter told me that someone had invited her to go around the back of their home to get some candy there, that's when my ears picked up. She definitely... Damn, I fucked that up. God damn it. The kids knew to look out for houses with the signs because that meant candy. So when my daughter told me that someone had invited her to go around the back of their home to get some candy there, my ears pricked up. She definitely went through a lying phase at one point, but I quickly learned how to spot her tall tales. This thing about the man didn't sound like one at all, and I swear, I felt a chill run through me when she mentioned it. Trust me, if she knew that she'd be able to use it as an excuse, my daughter would have come out with it first thing to keep herself from getting into trouble. But she didn't, and that's what made me think that she was telling the truth. I brought it up with my husband almost immediately, literally as soon as I'd put my daughter to bed. He knew of a website that you could use to check for offenders in your area. Just hearing those words made me feel sick, but not as sick as I felt when... Claire Connolly with the two says, Droopy Dave drove down the driveway drunk driving. Droopy Dave is crazy, bro. He needs some milk. I could use some milk, it'd be nice. Hey, lovely tea, what's going on? Long time no see. He knew of a website that you could use to check for child offenders in your area. And just hearing those words made me feel sick, but not as sick as I felt when he searched our area and found a blip right at the address my daughter had been at. We called the police as soon as we were able, and long story short, our call resulted in a man going back to prison for violating parole conditions. I'm not a lawyer or anything, and I'm not going to pretend to know the laws or statutes that he broke, and I didn't go looking him up like my husband did afterwards for the sake of our own sanity. Besides, what's done is done, and I don't have to worry about that man anymore. It did ruin it for me for... Wait, what's done is done? What did he do, though? Did they do like a fucking... What? I don't remember the beginning of the story. Like, did the guy do something? Because that's... Isn't that something of concern? Like breaking more than just parole? Or did they just like give the kid up after hearing the yells or something? It did ruin me for a few years though. I mean, I was a nervous wreck when it came to letting our daughter go anywhere, with anyone, and it took me a long time to be able to unlearn all that fear. But I got there, and it was to everyone's benefit because I have no doubt that that man has ruined people's lives before, and the last thing I ever want to do is become another of his victims without there ever having been a crime committed. Or maybe nothing happened. I just figured they would do like a forensic test or something to see if the kid was harmed or something. Well, he's probably not supposed to live in certain areas. Interesting. I'm just trying to see if, like, the beginning of the story, when the kid came back, I asked her. In the end, we found her walking out of a front yard, acting all confused as if she hadn't done anything. Well, see, that's the part that's just confusing. Like, did something happen? Like, I don't fucking know. That's weird. The chicken's been overcooked. Straight to jail. Oh, shit. Alright, you guys ready for some true crime? It's kind of a dumb condition. How the hell do you live in an area that does not have kids? Is that the condition? I feel like that would be almost impossible, but otherwise what? You have to go around and, like, let them know, hey there, I'm a molester, just so you know. Child sex offenders will be X amount of distance from places where kids will be gathered. Yeah, that makes sense, but, like, I don't know if, like, it was insinuating that the kid was not harmed or something. Because it almost seems like they lured the kid to the backyard, right? And then it's not like they found the kid running out, like, trying to get away or something. It came, like, out confused, and, like, they found him just wandering. So it's like, clearly it's insinuating there was, like, a period of time that, like, drifted by where something could have happened. But the storyteller didn't really, like, say if anything did happen. But I feel like if your kid, if you went through that, you'd be going to, like, the ER instantly to see if something did occur within the, you know, specifically with that context. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Moving on. Who gives a shit? Anyways. On the night of October 31st, 1973, 9-year-old Girl Scout Lisa Ann French was walking to a neighborhood Halloween party in her hometown of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Lisa lived with her mother. Alright, now we gotta look up how to say Fond du Lac. Joe, can you just read us that story you've secretly been working on? We can give constructive criticism. No. There's no story that exists that I've been secretly working on. Fond du Lac. Fond du Lac. Alright, Fond du Lac. Thank you. On the night of October 31st, 1973, 9-year-old Girl Scout Lisa Ann French was walking to a neighborhood Halloween party in her hometown of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Lisa lived with her mother, stepfather, and her newborn half-brother, and since her parents were so occupied with childcare, and the party was only 2 blocks away at the aptly named Pumpkin Place, that allowed young Lisa to walk alone. She departed her family home at around 5:45 p.m., almost an hour after sunset, dressed as a hobo in a little black hat, green parka, and jeans, complete with blue masking tape over the knees. She had originally planned to walk to the party with a friend named Ann Parker, and since Ann had managed to get herself grounded in the days prior, Lisa was forced to walk in solitude. As she walked, Lisa noticed that other groups of children were trick-or-treating, and since she was familiar with her immediate neighbors, she decided to follow suit. She first stopped at the home of a classmate, then at the house of one of her elementary school teachers, but the final house Lisa stopped at that night was owned by Gerald Miles Turner. 24-year-old Turner resided at the property with his girlfriend and infant child, and since they lived in such close proximity, he and Lisa were almost certainly familiar with one another. After seeing her on her doorstep, You have the biggest crush on my voice. That means you want to crush my windpipe. You fix the Wi-Fi? Nice, dude, let's go. Bakugo's explosion. Take care, my friend. After seeing her on his doorstep, Turner invited Lisa inside. He explained that he hadn't prepared any bowls of candy from which trick-or-treaters could take a handful, but if she followed him into his kitchen, Lisa was welcome to help herself. The 9-year-old Girl Scout accepted the invitation and reportedly waited patiently while Turner searched for sweet treats. Seconds later, he walked out of the kitchen, leaving Lisa somewhat confused. Then, moments later, she heard Turner's voice calling her out. Seconds later, he walked out of the kitchen, leaving Lisa somewhat confused, and then, moments later, she heard Turner's voice calling out to her from up the stairs. "Sweetie, I just found some candy for you," he said. "But it's up here, up in my bedroom." Lisa knew Gerald Turner. He'd been a feature of the neighborhood for as long as she could remember, so when she heard his voice, Lisa walked out of the kitchen and ascended the stairs. What followed is perhaps the most sickening act of predatory violence I had ever had the misfortune of researching. Even if describing Lisa's death wouldn't immediately get this video demonetized, I wouldn't be in the least bit comfortable describing the moments preceding it. And somehow, the least obscene aspect of the attack also happens to be its most terrifying. You see, Turner didn't intend to end Lisa's life, at least not at the moment she expired. But the fact remains that Lisa was so completely and utterly overwhelmed with terror that she suffered a heart attack before Turner could finish assaulting her. Turner later claimed that when he noticed that Lisa was no longer breathing, he made a desperate attempt to resuscitate her, but it was too late. His own vile predations had ended. Jesus, dude. His own my bad. His own vile predations had ended her young life before it ever really began. Turner's girlfriend, Arlene Penn, had actually been attending the same party Lisa had been headed for, and returned home at 7 p.m. to find her boyfriend acting very strangely. Turner was wearing a bathrobe and implored her not to enter their bedroom or the ensuite bathroom, claiming he'd vomited and defecated all over the bed and carpet. It's possible that Arlene did indeed smell something awful coming from their bedroom, so to give her boyfriend some space to clean up and recuperate, she drove over to her mother's house to pay her a visit. Turner rushed into action, stuffing Lisa's lifeless body and clothes into separate bags before driving her remains to the lakeside suburb of Tachida. Tachida? Anybody know how to say this? I'm gonna put it in chat. Tachida. Maybe ChatGPT would know. Taichi. Techida. Okay. I have bad allergies. Could be all the Techida in the air. Thank you. That's so fucking weird. Like, what the fuck? Like, what happens in someone's head where they have like a normal life? Like, you have a girlfriend, a kid, a house, and you're like, I'm just gonna kill this kid and do all sorts of fucking terrible stuff. Like, it's just crazy. Turner rushed into action, stuffing Lisa's lifeless body and clothes into separate bags before driving her remains out to the lakeside suburb of Techida. There, he dumped her clothes and body into a field just off the McCabe Road. That sounded weird. There, he dumped her clothes and body in a field just off the McCabe Road. Wait, not the McCabe Road, right? Just demon-possessed? I mean, that's... I don't know. I have no idea. It's fucked up. There, he dumped her clothes and body into a field just off of McCabe Road, wearing socks on his hands in an attempt to prevent the transfer of forensic evidence. Once the disposal process was finished, Turner rushed back home and had resumed the facade of suffering from a sudden but violent illness by the time his girlfriend returned from her mother's. Lisa was due to return home at around 7 that evening, but when the hour came and went, her mother started to worry. By 10 p.m., her parents had contacted the police and were in the process of gathering up an impromptu search party consisting of friends and family that would patrol the surrounding neighborhoods until dawn the next morning. As the days went by, the ad hoc search team was joined by a jaw-dropping 5,000 additional volunteers from all over the Midwestern United States, along with 700 police officers, National Guardsmen, and Lisa's fellow Girl Scouts. We humans aren't as superior to animals as we think we are. Some are born with that killer predatorial instinct. It's just weird though. Do animals, I mean, I guess a lot of animals just kind of kill random other ones young, you know? But it's just so strange. Weird. As the days went by, the ad hoc search team was joined by a jaw-dropping 5,000 additional volunteers from all over the Midwestern United States, along with 700 police officers, National Guardsmen, and Lisa's fellow Girl Scouts. It wasn't until 4 days into the search that a farmer discovered Lisa's remains, and at 11:30 a.m. on November 3rd, the search was finally called off. Her funeral, God, dude. It's just... God. You gotta fucking keep an eye out on your kids, man. Like, it's just... Obviously, you don't ever expect something like this. But that's the thing, is that, like, yeah, you don't expect something like that. You don't expect someone who exists in your community as, like, presumably a normal... I don't know, normal fucking thing to do something like this. Her funeral. Her funeral was held on November 6th of 1973 at Fond du Lac Emmanuel. God damn it. Her funeral was held on November 6th of 1973 at Fond du Lac's Emmanuel Trinity Lutheran Church. Thousands of the city's residents turned out to pay their respects, while the city's Chamber of Commerce posted a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the capture of Lisa's killer. Gerald Turner watched the unfolding grief and even attended a memorial service for Lisa in the company of his girlfriend and child. Since his home lay in the vicinity of the area Lisa was believed to have been abducted from, Turner was always a suspect, but for 9 long months he feigned the same ignorance and grief as his neighbors and insisted that he was an innocent man. Then during the midsummer of 1974, Fond du Lac police invited Turner to take a polygraph test. Turner seemed more than happy to oblige them, but when the results came back inconclusive, the police increased their focus. When they asked him to provide samples of his body hair, Turner once again seemed happy to cooperate. He believed he'd adequately cleaned down Lisa's corpse, severing all forensic connections between himself and his victim. He was wrong. When confronted with what he believed was concrete evidence of his guilt, Can you give your mom a shout out, Barb? We were listening to you together. Thanks. What's up, Barb? Is it Barbara or Barbie? They made a whole movie about her, the Barbie movie. When confronted with what he believed was concrete evidence of his guilt, Gerald Turner offered a full and frank admission, and on August 4th of 1974, he officially confessed to the murder of Lisa Ann French. In his shockingly despicable confession, Turner admitted to being highly aroused by the sight of a 9-year-old. Jesus. It's Barbalicious. Oh, Barbarella. Okay. In his shockingly despicable confession, Turner admitted to being highly aroused by the sight of 9-year-old Lisa on his doorstep, and that he'd seized the opportunity to do something unspeakably evil. In his own defense, Gerald claimed he'd attempted to resuscitate Lisa upon realizing that she was no longer breathing, but had been interrupted by the return of his girlfriend and child. Despite making such a complete confession, Turner took his chances at a trial by jury. The fact that a child predator believed that they could win over a public opinion, and thus win a lesser sentence of manslaughter, is as ridiculous as it is horrifying. As you can imagine, the jury not only pronounced him guilty, but recommended that he serve the maximum sentence possible under Wisconsin state law. The state abolished capital punishment back in 1853, meaning execution was never on the table, so instead, the presiding judge sentenced Turner to 38 years for second-degree murder, enticing a child for immoral purposes. Shockingly, despite beginning a sentence of almost 40 years in 1975, Turner first received parole in October of 1992 on account of so-called good behavior. The news provoked mass outrage from communities all over Wisconsin, as well as the wider United States, when Turner was released from the Wappen. That's crazy. Yeah, it always is really wild to me, like, people can just kill people. Do you guys ever hear about the mass shooting in fucking Norway? The mass shooting in Norway you are likely referring to occurred on July 22, 2011. It was a tragic and devastating event that is often referred to as 2011 Norway attacks or July 22nd attacks. Oslo bombing. On July 22, 2011, a bomb exploded in the government district of Oslo, targeting government buildings, including the Prime Minister's office. The explosion resulted in significant damage to the area and several casualties. I think it's this one. The Utoa mass shootings after the bombing in Oslo. Breivik traveled to the nearby island. Oh yeah, it was an island of Utoa, where the Norwegian Labour Party's youth camp was being held. Disguised as a police officer, he gained access to the island and then began a mass shooting spree. He opened fire at the attendees, many of whom were teenagers, for several hours. The shooting resulted in the tragic deaths of 69 people, mostly young campers, and left many others injured. Anders Bering Breivik was arrested by the police in Utoa and later stood trial for his actions. During the trial, he expressed extremist views and claimed that he had carried out the attacks to combat what he saw as Islamization of Europe and the spread of multiculturalism. In August 2012, he was found guilty of acts of terrorism and was sentenced to 21 years, which can be extended indefinitely as long as he is deemed a threat to society. Oh, okay. Well, I guess they can just keep extending it, but when I heard that he was only sentenced to 21 years, which is the maximum sentence in Norway, for killing 69 kids, 69 fucking kids on an island, and I think some of them, 77 people. I think some of them drowned because, like, some of them couldn't swim, but they were, like, forced off of the island to, like, try to get away, and then they fucking drowned, like, trying to get away. And, it's just fucking crazy, dude. Wappen, okay. When Turner was released from the Wappen Correctional Institute and driven to a halfway house over in Milwaukee, local residents turned out to protest the decision to house him in their backyard. Turner required police protection for the duration of his stay, until the decision was made to move him somewhere more discreet. As both the public and media clamored for justice, state lawmakers proposed a piece of legislation known as Wisconsin Chapter 980, more colloquially known as Turner's Law. Turner's Law would require high-risk offenders to be remanded in mental institutions until... Remanded? Yeah, remanded. Turner's Law would require high-risk offenders to be remanded in mental, Jesus Christ. Hey, Depressed Turtle, welcome back for 9 months. Gestating. The Buttersock Cults has just turned in and here you talk about dead kids. What the heck did I miss? Everyone is doing well. Thanks, Turtle. Good to see you. Yeah, some pretty depressing topics tonight. Turner's Law would require high-risk offenders to be remanded in mental institutions upon early parole, and it passed unanimously just 18 months later. Thankfully, by this point, Turner had already been sent back to prison following immense public pressure, but it wouldn't be long until he was up for parole again. On January 28th of 1998, a parole board decided that Turner was no longer a violent predator, and that he was permitted to begin the second of his mandatory paroles. Just a few months later, a judge heard how Turner had lost his temper with a caseworker and had threatened to stab her to death. Fuck. Joel, you're the best. Really, you're almost too good. After I heard the Junko Furata story, I had to take a 3-month break. Yeah, that story was very heavy for sure. I'm sorry that it affected you that way, but, you know, I still think it's good to tell the stories of those who were real-life victims, even if they are very gruesome, just to, I don't know, just so that their memory lives on and that the evil people that did this stuff, you know, I don't know, maybe as like a reminder that, like, even though there's a lot of close calls and there's a lot of stories that I read on this channel of, like, they stared at me weird, I guess it's just a bit of a reminder that there's some actually very, very fucked up people on planet Earth. Can you go back to the old background sound? The chirping birds, and this one makes it feel like it's morning and I'm trying to sleep. You know, I will make note of that for the when we make the Christmas background noise. I don't think there's chirping of birds, though, is there? I think it's chirping of crickets. So if you can imagine, it's actually dark in a swamp or like a place that has crickets. And they come out at nighttime and make a lot of noise sometimes. Or frogs. Oh, yeah, what am I thinking? It could be frogs in the swamp, not even just crickets. Try the sound of owls. Yeah, I guess owls aren't quite as frequent, are they, as far as noise? Get a new Christmas screen. Yeah, probably once October 31st is over, we'll go to a Christmas screen. And, or maybe we'll go back to the normal one and then do the Christmas one for December 1st. Frogs versus crickets, rap battles, epic. We adopted a pup on Halloween 2019, so happy for Gotcha Day. I got her on Halloween bandana and treats. Oh, a Halloween bandana and treat looks so stinking cute in her bandana. Oh, that's cute. Skipping Thanksgiving? No. I mean, there will definitely be content, but yeah, Thanksgiving just is not... Like, it's one of my favorite holidays as far as where it's just, like, family and food, you know? There's no Mariah Carey bullshit. It's just, like, show up, family, food, football, love life, live life, languish, whatever, you know? Just get it done. Whereas the other holidays are definitely in your face for a longer period of time. Thanksgiving is tomorrow? Holy crack. I wasn't even paying attention. Just a few months later, a judge heard how Turner had lost his temper with a caseworker and had threatened to stab her to death during a meeting at his halfway house. Unbelievably, the judge refused to accept that Turner was a continued danger to the public and even backed him in a discrimination case wherein a company known as Waste Management of Madison was forced to either hire him or pay him a large out-of-court settlement. The company opted for the settlement. Following Turner's successful litigation against the company, the Wisconsin State Assembly passed a bill allowing employers to legally discriminate. Yeah, football and coma. Oh, Canadian Thanksgiving. What's that holiday about? What's even normal Thanksgiving about? I don't even fucking know. It's when the Native Americans told us about the Dallas Cowboys and how they lose on every Thanksgiving. Following Turner's successful litigation against the company, the Wisconsin State Assembly passed a bill allowing employers to legally discriminate against convicted felons on the basis of their criminal record without further complaints. 5 years later, in 2003, the people of Wisconsin celebrated when it was announced that Turner was to be re-imprisoned for an additional 15 years. One of his parole conditions forbade him from owning a Holy shit, that's actually nuts. Listen to this part. One of his parole conditions forbade, right? Would it be forbade or forbid? It did. Your buddy plays for the Cowboys? What's his name? One of his parole conditions forbade him from... forbade, right? Wouldn't it be forbade? Why does that sound so fucking weird? Let's see. Past tense of forbid. Oh, okay. I guess it can be both. Forbid or forbade. Both forms are correct, in which one would use context. Forbade is less commonly used because it's considered acceptable in standard English. Here, the past tense forms. He forbade them from entering. He forbid them from entering. Oh, I guess it does sound normal both ways. It's weird. It's weird when words, like, quote-unquote, sound normal. I guess it's just... Jonathan Hankins, he plays D-tackle. I met him by selling him some watches. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the D-tackle's D-line. I know they have some... I know Micah Parsons is a really good pass rusher for them. And I believe that one guy, DeMarcus Lawrence, I think. He's really good. I'm not really familiar. He foreskinned him from entering. I forbade you from foreskinning. Would the act of removing foreskin, would that be called foreskinning? One of his parole conditions forbade him from owning or perusing. Jesus Christ. One of his parole conditions forbid him from owning or perusing any kind of adult content, either in person or online. So when a search of his home computer revealed a huge stash of adult content, Turner's fate was sealed. It was around this time that a journalist managed to obtain a letter taken from Turner's parole application. Penned by Turner himself, it was addressed to Lisa Ann French, and sections of it read as follows, quote, I doubt that I could ever fully realize the terror you experienced at my hands. I can still see you standing in the doorway with what felt that. Oh, it's circumcision. It is kind of weird that we still like circumcise kids with the fact that we invented soap. Just such a strange concept. I doubt that I could ever fully realize the terror you experienced at my hands. I can still see you standing in the doorway with that felt hat, beaming at having recognized me. Then I see the delight in your eyes turn to fear as I close the door behind you. The rest of my life, I will have to live with what I did to you. On that night I became a monster. I do swear to you on the... Wait. The rest of my life I'll have to live with what I did to you. On the night I became a monster. I do swear to you on the forfeiture of my life that I will never harm another child. This might give the impression that Turner felt remorse for what he'd done, but another section of the letter cast doubt on his apparent regret. If I had killed you on some other day, like Valentine's Day, nobody would have gave a damn. Only, that's where he's wrong. The horrifying predatory assault of a 9-year-old girl is never, ever going to be a story deemed unnewsworthy by anyone in their right mind, whereas Turner, on the other hand, seems to think that it's nothing but an antediluvian suspicion that's earned such ire. What the fuck? It's supposed to be a declaration of one's faith in Judaism. Well, I guess but it's just weird that like almost all of like Western culture does the circumcision shit. If it was like a Jewish tradition, why does everyone do it? Just seems really abstract and strange, and very painful and traumatic for like an infant. And even more so the fact that like there's a lot of like nerve tissue in there that you're never gonna get back. You know, you don't just get it back. It seems like you know how like in Africa they like do the removal of the clitoral or whatever, you know what I mean? And that is considered pretty barbaric. So it's just strange that we don't perceive the male aspect of that as just as equally bad. I don't know, man. People are fucking weird. Whereas Turner, on the other hand, seems to think that it's nothing but antediluvian suspicion that's earned him such ire. Such comments provide the basis for the campaign to ensure that Turner stays in prison for the rest of his life. He should never be released, said Lisa Ann's mother, Mary Ann Gehring. Mary Ann Gehring? Gehring, okay. He should never be released, said Lisa Ann's mother, Mary Ann Gehring. It's the only way to ensure that he'll never hurt another child. In fact, only when my daughter can come back and be reunited with us should that monster ever see the light of day. The great book told us to do it. It told us in the book. I don't know. People are fucking weird, man. Born in Santa Clara, California. Oh, another crime happened in California. Who would have guessed? I'm just kidding. I guess there's crimes everywhere, and California's huge. Scary story, what's going on? Born in Santa Clara. I don't even fucking know how to say it. Santa Clara. Santa Clara. Santa Claus County. You chill, Sam. You chill. You have no chill. You're more like a big pool, your big bucket of lava. You have no chill. Born in Santa Clara, California in 1952, Doreen Ray Erbert was raised by two loving parents in a small, close-knit, and deeply wholesome community. Even from a young age, little Doreen was described as having a generous and compassionate spirit, and for some, it was no surprise when she opted to pursue a career in nursing. After obtaining the appropriate qualifications, Doreen found work as a physical therapist in a suburb of San Francisco. She found an apartment there, relocated in early 1975, then, after a few months' worth of settling in, she met a guy named Mike. Mike's full name was William Michael Dennis, and he worked a well-paying job as a paint sprayer at a nearby Lockheed Martin factory. He seemed shy, and the anxiety of talking to a girl as pretty as Doreen exacerbated Mike's Slider stutter. My slutter. Sam, you're more like Netflix and like lighted piece of dynamite. Boom. Roasted. He seemed shy, and the anxiety of talking to a girl as pretty as Doreen exacerbated Mike's slight stutter. He believed the stutter was the reason he had such terrible trouble finding dates, but Doreen thought it was the sweetest thing she'd ever seen. There was this handsome brown-eyed man who thought that she was so pretty he could barely speak, so instead of rolling her eyes and walking away, as so many other women have done before, Doreen was patient. She waited for Mike to pluck up the courage to ask her out on a date, and when he did, she accepted. Mike couldn't believe his luck, while Doreen seemed over the moon, and over the course of the next few months, they fell in love and got married in the mid-summer of 1975. 9 months later, in April of 1976, Doreen gave birth to a baby boy named Paul. At first, the couple seemed tired. Oh wait, shit. This is the last story. I gotta go take my magnesium. Z Bucko with another 5 Reno. It says, random fact, one of the ceremonies people who practice witchcraft do is they'll eat a consecrated wafer with either urine, menstrual blood, or semen. Interesting. What type of witchcraft, though? I feel like there's all sorts of like different subsects or groups or shit like that. Is it anybody who believes in astrology does this? Is that the case? What's up, Katie? Oh, dynamite! Alright, let me... Wait, what am I doing? Shite. I closed it. How do I close it like that? Oh. Okay. I am going to go take my magnesium, and then I will be back and read this story as our final story of the Schmeevening. I'm eating a pickle. Injecting my magnesium. Ugh, fuck. Yeah, that's the stuff. Did you know a dentist invented cotton candy? How do you get graphics to Joel? I told him I would design some for him, but I don't know how to send them to him now. You can send it to... Let's read submissions at gmail.com or post it on the subreddit. Do I play Overwatch? Fucking sadly, dude. Sadly. Oh wait, I'm still recording. What the fuck? I think everyone who's like addicted to Overwatch says sadly after you ask them if they play. It's so weird that they just like... Wait, who do I main? I don't even know. Like on... I mean, I play everything. I can play everything pretty well, but I think the most satisfying character is probably Hanzo, just because it's like... If you can, you know, dink the squishies, you can kind of carry. Whereas if your team is like a bunch of bozos, you know, it's hard to carry a lot of the times because there's a lot of characters, especially on tank, that require team play, and that just doesn't exist anymore because Overwatch has lost over like 1 million players, and anybody that's playing it now is like either been no-lifing it forever, or they just like found it because it's free to play and they're just like, I don't know what's going on. He started playing League of Legends again. I'll quit again soon. Yeah, I feel you, dude. I don't know. They did like a rework of Sombra, and it's just like, ugh, fuck that shit. I don't know. It's like all you see this season on tank. It's so boring. You just see fucking Zarya, Doomfist, and Orisa, because those are the three that just like sort of counter each other, I guess. Which is actually kind of funny, and they actually do damage, and they're all OP as fuck. But it's just like the developers are so bad at doing like mid-season updates, and if they do, it's like they don't fucking change anything. And then they also have this like design philosophy where they think that like each season needs to, you know, there needs to be a tank that, or some character that just like really shines so it gets a bunch of playtime. Like, shut the fuck up. Who gives a shit about that? All you're doing is creating more problems for yourself, like the fucking CIA. Just like blowing stuff up so you have a reason to like continue to exist. What you should be doing is just getting the whole fucking game and, you know, every hero into a comfortable spot. You hate Orisa so much. Dude, Orisa is unkillable. Like right now, Orisa she's just unkillable. There's no, like, and the worst thing is they have like normal health and then armor and then over health, which is like green health. If anybody has fucking green health, you just, the green health never goes away. You just shoot it and it's like, why is it not moving? I don't know, dude. It's just so cringe. And like their hero design is just, they're just not good. They're like, the map design has been bad for all the new maps. Like the fucking push bullshit is stupid. You're like half the, like they took away a tank, but then they made the maps bigger, and you have to like walk most of the time just to get back to the game. And then after everyone complained about having to walk the whole fucking time, they ended up inventing a new mode where it's pretty much just King of the Hill, but it's more walking. And by the time you fucking even get to the next point to have the next fight, you've probably been like, you know, snuck up on by a fucking homeless dude with a shank, who just happens to be a new hero that they invented that's OP, shanks you before you even get there, and then you're stuck at fucking spawn walking, and then your team staggers, and it's a constant state of just staggering till like the game's over. And it's just amazing to me that they don't have the ability to just think like, what would be like intuitive? Oh, all the other successful maps we've created in the past, let's just recreate those, but with in different areas. I don't know, man. I generally think that either there's only like a few devs on the team that get to make a few decisions for like the heroes they design and the maps they design. And you know, they definitely don't. The weirdest thing was finding out that like the people that design the Overwatch heroes and the maps were like silver. Like they were ranked silver for like their skill level. They weren't even like GM or anything like that. I'm like, so what? Those people were in charge? The ones that suck? I don't know, man. It's just so embarrassing. Alright, anyways. Fuck that game and fuck Blizzard. Fucking titty milk drinking idiots. Can't do anything right. Fucking hope the company goes under. Such bullshit. What's blink? Blink, blink, blink. Are you blinking? Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero's awesome. Alright. Where was I with this? Oh wait, did I already read this one? As long as she could remember, she heard a voice. Oh. Wait. Whoops. Sorry. Is this the one I'm reading? Oh, Tracer's blinking through the chat, yeah. Hello, love! Wee! Winston! How's it hanging? Okay, I guess. Counter Orisa with Bastion sort of just spraying at her turret. Nah, dude. She just uses her E and sucks up all your shit and then presses shift, doesn't die, fucking just shoots you down while spearing you. It's just... Zarya's pretty much like her only... I don't know, maybe like Sim or something. It's fucking stupid. But Diablo... Dude, Diablo died, man. It was like big there for the fourth one for a little bit. And then, I don't know if they fucked up the monetization system or something and like the balancing going into like the first big update, but it just seemed like it fell off really hard and nobody gives a shit anymore. Just imagine, yeah, not quite. Getting drowsy. Drowsy. Alright, he seemed shy. Doreen exacerbated. Where the fuck was I, bro? Oh, they're filing for you. Oh. 9 months later, in April of 1976, Doreen gave birth to a baby boy named Paul. At first, the couple seemed tired but happy, but as the stress of parenting began to take its toll, the couple's relationship began to break down. Doreen filed for divorce in 1977, and despite Mike's bitter protests, their marriage was quickly dissolved. Custody of their child was split between weekdays and weekends, with Mike being heartbroken that he could only see his boy for just 48 hours at a time. He had relished the opportunity to be a father and felt increasingly resentful of his ex-wife. In Mike's eyes, she had watched him embrace parenthood with a passion, only to snatch it away without any attempt at reconciliation. Reconciliation. Right? Why does that sound weird? Wrecking ball. Reconciliation. Reconciliation. Right, guys? Right, guys? Give me some skin. You gotta bait her into using those. I've been playing Orisa counters. Gotta be smart with what you do and what you do. It's just not fun, though. I don't know. It's just, like, the fact that everyone on all tiers of gameplay look at Arissa and just think like, ugh, you know, that in itself is just like a failure of game design. And the fact that they can't find like any numbers to make her like viable but not oppressive, just stupid, bro. The war brewing in the Central West. What do you mean the Central West? Like Colorado? In Mike's eyes, she had watched him embrace parenthood with... Embraced? That sounds so weird. In Mike's eyes, she had watched him embrace parenthood with a passion, only to snatch it away without any attempt at reconciliation. On the other hand, all Doreen wanted was to be happy, to provide the best life possible for her son. So while Mike descended into a deep depression, Doreen married a wealthy carpet store owner. Wait, why did they get divorced in the first place? Does anyone know? It didn't sound like he was like that bad of a dude. All it said was like, wait, let's go read it. At first, the couple seemed tired but happy, but as the stress of parenting began to take its toll, the couple's relationship began to break down. And then right here, that's all it was. They were tired. And then she just filed for divorce, and then that was pretty much all the explanation we got for why they got divorced. That's weird. So, while Mike descended into a deep depression, Doreen married a wealthy carpet store owner named Charles Ebert. In 1979, the newly married couple had a daughter, Deanna, but made it clear to little Paul that he would never be sidelined in favor of his little sister. They were a family, regardless of parentage, and although their situation was an unconventional one, there were no signs of neglect, abandonment, or abuse. Then, in February of 1980, when Paul was just 4 years old, he decided to go exploring the backyard. He wandered all around the lawns and flower beds until he came to the small but sturdy fence that separated the swimming pool from the rest of the backyard. Paul climbed the small fence with ease, then, unbeknownst to his parents, began walking around the edge of the swimming pool, teetering dangerously close to the water. Then suddenly, the unthinkable happened, and the little boy slipped. Doreen was home at the time of the accident, but had been so occupied with her newborn daughter that she didn't notice when little Paul slipped away from her. By the time she noticed he was missing, it was too late, and as she ran into the backyard, she saw his tiny body floating face down on the surface of the swimming pool. To her credit, Doreen reacted so quickly that after pulling him out of the water, she was able to clear her son's airway before successfully reviving him. It seemed like nothing short of a miracle, but once Paul arrived in a nearby hospital, the most terrible of news was soon to follow. Doreen broke down when the doctors told her that little Paul was clinically brain dead, and that there was very little chance of a complete recovery. 3 days later, she made the decision every mother's fears fit. Shit, man. That's fucked. How late are you tonight? You were only 2.5 hours late, no worries. This is everyone's important lecture of the week. I hope everyone's been taking notes tonight. As someone diagnosed with major depressive disorder, I've possibly watched the majority of your stories, almost 40 minutes, 2-hour ones. Assuming they exist, forgot they've been helping me calm down. Nice, Faceless. I'm glad we can be of service. Three days later, she made the decision every mother fears facing, and after one final goodbye, Doreen opted to have Paul's life support turned off. Mike was furious and laid the blame for his son's death squarely at Doreen's feet. He filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her, but although he managed to get the case to trial in March of 1982, the jury ruled in Doreen's favor and declared Paul's death was a tragic, albeit unavoidable, fuck. Sonia, welcome back for 13 months. Thank you. How are you doing? He filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her, and although he managed to get the case to trial in March of 1982, the jury ruled in Doreen's... What the fuck? Pradeep's ripping the shit out of something. Winter is coming. He filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her, but although he managed to get the case to trial in March of 1982, the jury ruled in Doreen's favor and declared Paul's death was a tragic, albeit avoidable, accident. Following the suit's dismissal, Doreen cut off all contact with her former husband. She refused to meet with him. She refused to take his calls, and any envelopes that bore his handwriting were immediately thrown in the trash. There's no doubt that, on some level, Doreen did really fuck. There's no doubt that, on some level, Doreen really did feel responsible for her son's death, but she saw Mike's accusations of murder as little more than an attempt to punish her for divorcing him. Over the next 2 years, Mike's mental health deteriorated dramatically. His hatred for his ex and her new husband consumed him, poisoning almost every aspect of his life. His performance at work became so poor that he was forced to accept a salary reduction in order to retain employment, and he sought an increasing amount of solace through alcohol and prescription drugs. Yet while Mike sank further and further into the abyss, Doreen bounced back from the tragedy of a lifetime, and after suffering 2 consecutive miscarriages, she finally announced her 3rd pregnancy in 1984. Her friends and family were elated, especially when the news came that she was expecting a little boy, and when asked when the due date was, they were old. They were told. Dude, I'm not really liking this lady, I'll be honest with you. We don't really get, granted, it's kind of the craft of the narrative, honestly, but she divorces this guy, remarries somebody wealthy. We don't even know why they divorced. And then she, negligently allows her son to die, which is obviously traumatic and stuff, but, I don't know. I would go fucking insane, too. Would you not go insane? You get divorced and then the mom just, accidentally lets the kid die, and you're just, supposed to just, I don't know. Supposed to just chill. Oh, dang it. Oh, dang, he's gone. Oh, that's okay. It was an accident. No problem. I wish the best for you. I hope you have a great life. Her friends and family were elated, especially when the news came that she was expecting a little boy, and when asked when the due date was, they were told early November, just a few days after Halloween. Almost 9 months after the announcement, a heavily pregnant Doreen went trick-or-treating with a 4-year-old Deanna. Her husband, Charles, stayed at home to hand out handfuls of candy to the costumed tykes that walked up their driveway. Then, when his wife and daughter returned at around 8:50 p.m., he made a brief trip to a local grocery store to pick up some more candy, along with a few beers. Charles had been gone for no longer than a few minutes when Doreen heard a loud knock at the front door. Believing it was nothing but tardy trick-or-treaters, she left her daughter in the ground floor to... Arizona, 100 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, 60 to 65 at night. What, do you live in the desert? Hey, what's up, Brianna? Brianna the bear. Believing it was nothing but tardy trick-or-treaters, she left her daughter in the ground floor TV room. Why does that sound so fucking weird? Believing it was nothing but tardy trick-or-treaters, she left her daughter in the ground floor TV room and then went to answer the door. When she opened, Doreen saw a group of giddy children. Damn it. Jolie Wooly. I'm doing good. This story is kind of making me mad, though. I just ain't vibing with it. Kenny. What language do you speak, Kenny? Who even says tardy anymore? Tardy means just late, right? Tardy wardy. Tardy to the party. When she opened it, Doreen saw a group of... Saw nicht. Nicht gesehen. Nicht geloken. When she opened it, Doreen saw not a group of giddy children, but a solitary man standing on the doorstep. He was dressed in regular clothing and shoes, but covering his face was an eerie, cartoonish bear mask, and in his hand was a razor-sharp 18-inch machete. 4-year-old Deanna later recalled that the man had roared, "I'm going to kill you," before her mother screamed for her to hide behind the couch. Little Deanna did as she was told, but... I keep seeing words that are not there. I'm hallucinating. Do you think it's because I ate that pickle? Do you think I'm messing up because I ate a pickle? What do you guys think? Type 1 for pickle. Type 2 for not related to the pickle. Type 3 for you want me to eat another one. Little Deanna did as she was told, her fingertips plugging her ears. It did little to drown out the screams, and then suddenly, there was silence. Charles Everett's trip to the store lasted no longer than 15 minutes, but when he returned home and attempted to slide his key into the lock of his front door, he discovered it was already open. His blood ran cold as he pushed the door ajar, an ominous silence hanging in the air. Then as he stepped inside, the sight that greeted him was something like... Oh my god. They're eating her. And then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god. Dude, I wish I could fly, dude. I wish I could fucking fly up in the air and slam. If I could fly, you know what I would do? I would slam dunk a basketball. Kenny, you gotta go use Babbel. Go to my video, click my Babbel link, and learn a language today. You could be doing this today. You could learn Italian. You could learn Spanish. You could learn Japanese. Anything you want. His blood ran cold as he pushed the door ajar, an ominous silence hanging in the air. Then as he stepped inside, the sight that greeted him was like something from his worst nightmares. His wife lay face up on the carpet before him, surrounded by an unfathomable large... God, that's the hardest word ever. Unfathomable. I'm still learning English. I'm taking Babbel to learn English. It's not working. Unfathomable. Unfathomable large. Unfathomably. 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 Yeah, I always had this like really great fear that one day I would be just like so incredibly unsober that I would be at the top of a set of steps, right? On LSD or something. Not that I would do that, but you know, you never know when you might be in a scenario as such. You're at the top of the set of the steps, right? And suddenly you just think like, I can fly. I'm in a dream. And then you thrust yourself off a set of steps, and then you just like plunge to the fucking bottom for a big thud. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good, folks. Not good. Can't fly. Never could fly. Not a good flyer. In fact, more of a ground type. His wife lay face up on the carpet before him, surrounded by an unfathomably large puddle of blood. It had soaked into the carpet so heavily that its surface appeared as a swamp of uncoagulated plasma, and at its... If you could fly, you should be able to take off from the ground. Says freaking who? Are you the king of flight? Are you one of the many Wright brothers? Are you the Wright triplet? The third of the Wright group? It had soaked into the carpet so heavily that its surface appeared as a swamp of uncoagulated plasma, and at its center lay the lifeless, heavily mutilated corpse of his beloved Doreen. Her killer had cut her to ribbons before they sliced open her stomach and ripped her unborn son from her womb. To Charles, it appears as if his defenseless... Jesus, dude, this is fucking tough. Fucking rough story. Have like Scruff McGruff come out in the middle of a video and say, "Jeez, that story was rough. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below." To Charles, it appeared as if his defenseless baby boy had been torn from his mother and simply tossed into the next room with a sickening irreverence. His next thought was for Deanna, but when he heard her reply after calling out her name, the relief must have been indescribable. Somehow she remained perfectly still and silent while her mother and baby brother had been butchered and defiled, yet she remained in a deep state of catatonia for many months afterward. Uniformed police preceded the arrival of ambulance crews, but once the scene was secure, it was visited by a lone San Jose homicide detective named Bert Caro. When I got there, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before in my life, he later said. It was like a horror movie poster. The door was wide open, there was blood all over the hallway, and sat on a stool outside the porch was a Halloween pumpkin the kind with a scary face carved into it. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Officer Jamie Saldivar echoed, "With Jamie?" Open the door. Did I say catatonia right? Did I fuck it up? Right? Come on, I said it right. Don't correct me, guys. You know that's not good for my mental health. Oh, I got it. Yep, Catatonia is a land in Narnia specifically for cat people. They just kind of, you go there and you just stare into nothing. It's a big litter box you can shit in. You said Tanzania? Oh my god. That's not where the cat people are from. Does Pradeep have a collar? No. He has a bunch of fur on his neck. What are you doing, bud? He just walked in the room, actually. Come on. Get into your spot. Report to your post, Pradeep. Quickly. It's so funny, when you want him to do something, that's when he just, like, looks around like, huh? What the fuck? But I'm a cat. I'm not supposed to ever fucking listen, ever. Hey. Butt. Does he eat Meow Mix? He eats dry food and wet food. Does Pradeep have a golden litter box? It's like, it's not completely gold. There's diamonds glued to it as well. It's all fucking bejeweled. He shits in a bed of diamonds as well. But like pure sand diamonds, like it's from a beach from Venus. Officer Jamie Saldivar echoed the sentiment, saying, "It was bizarre, easily the eeriest call I'd have ever responded to." But what neither man mentioned to journalists was the fact that the killer's mask was lying on the doorstep, just feet away from Doreen's dead body. It, too, was streaked with her blood. After briefly questioning Charles Ebert, officers were informed of the family's rocky history, and from that moment on, Mike Dennis was the murder's primary person of interest. Mike Dennis? Was his name Mike Dennis from the beginning of the story? Oh, I guess it was Michael Dennis. For some reason I don't remember him being mentioned. I guess I'm just a bit of a dummy. The glitter shitter, yeah. That would be funny. Fill it with glitter and your cat just has glitter all over his body forever. After briefly questioning Charles Ebert, officers were informed of the family's rocky history, and from that moment on, Mike Dennis was the murder's primary person of interest. Law enforcement rushed over to Mike's home address, and as they advanced up the driveway, an officer used a flashlight to illuminate the interior of his truck. The driver's seat, steering wheel, and door handle were all drenched in blood. After the officers knocked on Mike's door, he answered them wearing a bathrobe and sporting wet hair. He seemed more than happy to answer any questions they had, and after inviting them inside, explained away a fresh cut to his hand by claiming it was an accident while preparing food. When informed of his ex's wife's freaking murder... Sorry. was a rat in your cat's bed and the cat didn't do anything. What the hell? Hey, Leslie, take care. Cats. I'm a kitty cat. A meow 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 and a meow meow meow. Men didn't know how to cook back then. In the 80s. They didn't invent male cooking till 93. When informed of his ex-wife's violent murder, Mike barely reacted, and when he was unable to account for his whereabouts for the previous few hours, he was placed under arrest. Following Mike's detention, a thorough search of his residence was conducted by local law enforcement. It was then that officers found a receipt from a nearby hardware store, along with the torn-off tag from an 18-inch machete. But it was only when officers walked into Mike's garage that they realized the extent of his guilt. It seems Mike had taken up woodwork over the previous few years, and had worked his way up from larger to larger project until he was capable of constructing large boxes and containers. He had obviously become quite proficient in his work, as when officers saw what he'd most recently been working on, they didn't stop to wonder what they were looking at. Propped against one of the garage walls were two coffins, one labeled Charles, and the other labeled Doreen. Mike Dennis stunned law enforcement when he denied all involvement in his wife's murder, and that shock was compounded when it was determined that there was no concrete evidence linking him to the crime. All the signs point to Mike, but without solid witness testimony or irrefutable forensic evidence, law enforcement had no choice but to release him after 48 hours. They were, however, able to obtain a blood sample from him, and when it was discovered that his blood type matched that of the mysterious third party at the scene of Doreen's murder, Mike was rearrested on November 5th of 1984. Detectives were also able to trace the wolf mask found at the Eberts? I hate when they fuck up the name, because then it's just I messed it up earlier. The tree remains undefeated against bedtime. Not today, bedtime. Detectives were able to trace the wolf mask. Wait. It was a bear mask, right? Yeah, what the fuck? How did they mess that up? Bruh. Do you guys think we'll ever get karma for listening to stories? Oh, you mean you feel guilty for listening to other people's misery or something? I don't think you should feel bad about it. Detectives were able to trace the bear mask found at the Herbert's home to the one Mike wore to a Halloween. Detectives were able to trace the bear mask found at the Herbert's home to one Mike wore at a Halloween party the previous year. A partygoer even took a photograph of Mike wearing it and was able to confirm that it was indeed him behind the garish black and brown rubber. Detective Bert Caro attested. Jesus Christ. I'll be so mad if well, let me just look it up. Mike Dennis. Oh fuck, I don't even remember what his name is. Mike Dennis, yeah. Mike Dennis, Halloween, murder, Party mask? I don't know. Oh, dude, how the fuck? He put bear mask at the beginning, and then it is a wolf mask in real life. It's so fucking annoying. I'm not going all the way back just to fucking change out bear and wolf. Wolf. It was a wolf mask. That's so annoying. Just like little stupid fucking things like that, just like throw everything off. Detective Bert Caro attested. I talked to this girl and she goes, last year we went to this party and he was dressed as a big bad... Ugh! Come on! What the fuck? That's so far back, bro. That's like multiple pages back to like fix the fucking... It's so cringe. And if there's like all these references to the wolf bullshit later, that'd be so annoying. Well, it's only half a page left. I'm gonna be the laughing stock of the true crime community. They're all gonna be like, oh, you don't even sell autopsy photos on your Patreon. The big bad bear. The big bad beater. Detective Bert Caro attested. I talked to this girl and she goes, last year we went to this party and he was dressed like that. Now crossing my fingers I said, did anybody take pictures by chance? And she goes, oh yeah, the guy took a ton of pictures. If he hadn't been so snap happy we might never have got him. Mike's trial commenced in July of 1988 and after consulting with his attorney, decided to plead guilty to the murder of his ex-wife. Mike also pled guilty to the murder... Why is Dick short for Richard? Well, 'cause Richard is big for Dick. The bear, the moon, the bear in the big blue house. Mike also pled guilty to the murder of her unborn son, but claimed that he had no idea that she had been pregnant at the time of the attack. This is hard to believe, as Doreen had been heavily and visibly pregnant during Halloween of 1984. It's likely that the first thing Mike noticed about his ex was the rotund abdomen, and considering the fetus was torn from her lifeless womb, it's reasonable to suggest that the realization only enraged him further. He languished on California's death row until September of 1999, when he was put to death in the state's gas chamber. When news of his death reached their ears, Charles and Deanna Scott say that, for their sake of their own mental health, they worked hard to find it in their hearts to forgive Mike Dennis. I want him to know that we survived, Deanna said. I want him to know that we're making it. I want him to know he hasn't conquered us. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Otay. Let's read this outro script. Happy ending. I guess, man. Not very happy. Alright, you guys gotta help me think of something funny to say at the end here. Oh wow, 666 viewers. It really seems to be where I like peak at pretty much. And then it just stays at that. I wonder if like YouTube does that on purpose as a sort of little tongue-in-cheek thing. It'd be real nice if they gave me 6,666 viewers. It'd be way cooler. Way scarier. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit or over email, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember. What should we remember? Life isn't life without life. No one thinks my suggestion is funny. I guess no one understands it. What was it? You always wondered how you get dick out of Richard. You gotta pull real hard. I remember Pradeep's last name is... You'll say data. And remember, cow, a bunga, dude. Data or data? I remember like a friend of mine was getting her PhD or something. She had to do her dissertation. And like when she talked about her data, she would have to say like grammatically like that datum or like that data. I don't know. It was really strange. It was like datum and data. I don't know if they were like used. I guess datum was like the singular and data is plural. So like it was just very confusing. And of course they got to throw in like if you can't figure that out, you might as well just drop out of being a PhD person. Whatever. Frank, Dick, Richard for president. The best things happens in the dark. Data-do. Alright, we'll do that one. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, data-do. Oh wait, we should do the do. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, do. Nardvar. Did I ever do a Nardvar or whatever? I swear I must have done it in the past. Nah, maybe we already did it. What's up, Jens? I'm off to bed. It's been fun like always, fam. Hey, see ya, Hawk. I should probably get off as well here. I swear I've done a Nardvar reference in the past. Anyways, though, yeah, we're good to go there, I think. But guys, you rock. Appreciate you. I'm gonna get this edited up on Patreon for early access. It's only $1 a month over there, and you can do a free trial as well. Otherwise, I will get it up on YouTube, same time, same place, 7 p.m. EST. Otherwise, I'll keep you posted on everything from new videos to new streams over on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy, or hit the notification bell over here so you don't miss anything. And then follow me on Instagram at Let's Read.official. You can find all the socials in the description of any video. Auf Wiedersehen und guten Nacht. You have to say und guten Nacht. Kenny with a 2 says, no, you're supposed to say doot doot. Didn't I do it already? I thought I did at the end. Doot 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 doot. Alright, good night, friends. You guys rock. I'm gonna hit the hay. Hope you guys can do the same, or wherever you are in the world. Have a great day, and I'll be back streaming on Tuesday, me blokes. So I'll see you then, and au revoir.